Hey y'all, it's John Trent from Banning Into Comics. How y'all doing today? I've got some Spider-Man 3 rumors for you today. First off, Topher Grace will be taking on the role of Eddie Brock in Venom. Wait, we're not talking about that Spider-Man 3? Right. Marvel Studios and Sony came to a deal and we are getting our third standalone Spider-Man film starring Tom Holland. Soon after Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige and Pascal Pictures' Amy Pascal announced the new deal, we got a rumor about who Spider-Man will be facing off against in the new film. This rumor notes that Spider-Man will be facing off against a chameleon. The rumor comes from Mikey Sutton in his Geekosity Facebook group. Not only did he reveal that Spider-Man will face off against Chameleon, but we also got some basic plot details about the film. Before we get to that, I want to ask if you could please hit that like button if you're enjoying this video. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe so we can keep making content like this, especially if you enjoy it. We really appreciate that. Thanks. So let's get to these basic plot details that Mikey Sutton posted in his Geekosity Facebook group. So he said, quote, "The plan, it seems, is to have the movie be about a tale of identities. The hero whose identity is revealed and the villain who steals identities," end quote. Sutton adds that Chameleon might actually pose as either Peter Parker and or Spider-Man. He also details that this third film might be the darkest Spider-Man film of the three. Sutton writes, quote, "Marvel Studios sees this as the darkest of the three films with a slightly more grown-up Peter Parker who has experienced so much already and is about to go through a harrowing personal journey at home," end quote. So for those who don't know, Chameleon's real name is Dmitry, I'm going to butcher this, Smerdyakov. He was originally a Soviet who immigrated to the United States. He made his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man #1 and was a creation of legends Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. His first foray into crime was impersonating Spider-Man, and it wouldn't be his last. In one storyline, he would actually send Peter Parker into a psychotic breakdown. Not a good time for Peter Parker. There were kind of there was a hint, an Easter egg, a tease of Chameleon during the latest Spider-Man film, Far From Home, when a character named Dmitry was introduced as one of Nick Fury's employees. He actually acts as the bus driver during Peter Parker's European excursion, driving him to all of those European cities. It was Venice. He doesn't take him to London, but he goes north. I think Paris. Venice and Paris for sure. And I think there was a German city. I'm blanking on the name right now. It might have been Berlin. I'm not sure. I don't think it was Munich. But what's interesting is that this kind of Easter egg was put to the test when Cinema Blend asked director John Watts about Dmitry, who was played by actor Numan Akar. And they asked him if Numan was playing Chameleon. And this is what Watts told them. "Well, Dmitry in the film works for Nick Fury, and I think anyone who works for Nick Fury, they certainly have a mysterious past. We're not specifically saying that he's Chameleon, but we're not saying," end quote. So Mikey Sutton believes this Dmitry in Far From Home was simply misdirection or could have been a coincidence and was not intentional. But there's more to the Spider-Man 3 rumor. On the Lords of the Longbox YouTube channel, the host TiVo noted that Craven might appear in the film as well. TiVo teases that, quote, "There's been talks of a Craven solo film, and Marvel's been talking about doing Craven's Last Hunt. And now we are hearing that they may include both," end quote. This definitely makes sense if Chameleon is going to be the primary villain, as he is the half-brother of Craven the Hunter. In fact, Chameleon is kind of he was Craven's servant early on, although they did have a somewhat decent relationship, although it has also been described as abusive, with Craven being the abuser. TiVo didn't give any details on how Craven might factor in, but it's quite possible he could be sent to hunt down Spider-Man, or he might even seek revenge against Spider-Man after he has somehow defeated Chameleon or done something with Chameleon. It seems like Craven might come later on in Act 3 and play a more prominent role in Act 3, where Chameleon will take up the majority of the film. That's what the rumor indicates. Nevertheless, there's definitely lots of opportunities with Craven and Chameleon in the same film. Obviously, with Chameleon showing up in Amazing Spider-Man #1, there's definitely lots of stories with Chameleon in them, as there are with Craven, that they could adapt. Mikey Sutton does note that his information comes from early talks, and the script is just being written now, so it's quite possible this all could change. But he also would reveal that they already do have kind of like a layout of what they're looking for in a post-credit scene or a sizzle scene at the end of the film. Apparently the camera will swing past the Avengers Tower and a sign will read "The Baxter Building," hinting at the introduction of the Fantastic Four. The building might have actually been hinted at in Far From Home when Spider-Man is back in New York City. He's meeting Michelle Jones, and when he's going to pick her up there, she's like standing in front of this construction site, the former site of Avengers Tower and Stark Tower, and it's on East 41st Street. The construction sign is, the construction sign reads, "We can't wait to show you what comes next." And then it has the numbers 1, 2, 3, and a question mark where the fourth number will be, and it's kind of in like an arrow, so it's like stages of like what would be happening. Although obviously with the number 4, it's obviously a tease, could be seen as a tease to the Fantastic Four. In the comics, the Baxter Building is located on 42nd and Madison Avenue in New York City, so that would be the that location that could. I mean, definitely is apparent that it could be that location as where Spider-Man picks up, and Michelle Jones is on East 41st Street. So if you go a block over, it would be 42nd, which would be where the Baxter Building is. Kevin Feige actually addressed the speculation that this could be the Baxter Building, and he said, "I didn't see a sign there yet," indicating like there was obviously the construction sign, but he didn't see a sign of the owner. He added, "I always think the speculation fuels it, whether that speculation is correct, as it sometimes is, or if that speculation is wrong, as it often is." So that's an interesting quote. The speculation fuels it, but then saying that the speculation could be right or could be wrong, that wouldn't really, the speculation wouldn't be fueling whether or not that's the Baxter Building. The speculation is only like fueling discussion online about whether it could be. I mean, it's possible it could be fueling their decision making. They could change it from the Baxter Building to something else if that Baxter Building seems to be gaining steam. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. These companies definitely do their market research and pay close attention to chatter on social media and in on websites and Reddit and across the internet. But as for Spider-Man 3, there's lots, I mean, that's a lot of information to digest, and it opens up quite a bit of storytelling options. I think the most interesting part for me for Spider-Man 3 is I really want to see more of J. Jonah Jameson. I want to see more of J.K. Simmons taking on that role. I think that could be, I mean, I assume that he's going to be playing a pertinent part, especially if they're going to go with Chameleon and having this identity issue, and you could just see J. Jonah Jameson just having an absolute ball if Chameleon is impersonating Spider-Man and he's doing all of these like horrible things. J. Jonah Jameson will be completely vindicated for calling Spider-Man a menace. So I'm actually really, I'm actually kind of looking forward to that, and I hope they explore that. That has nothing to do with any of the rumors. That's just my personal hopes and aspirations for a Spider-Man 3 movie. But I want to know, what do you make of these rumors? Are there any Spidey villains you want to see in the film? Are there any storylines you want them to pursue that they haven't touched on yet? I know that I'm sure a lot of you want to see Mary Jane Watson or maybe even Gwen Stacy introduced. So I'm not sure that's going to happen, but we can always continue to hope. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics. Until next time.